auto him and avoid most minion damage. That's the general rule of thumb in range versus melee matchups. This is a very important
Microphone
part,
check.
You see this low health minion? Yone has his third Q ready.
Microphone
When this elo,
check.
he would not be punished for going for CS that he shouldn't. So I'm totally focused on getting ready to punish him the moment he uses Q to dash in and get the CS, or dash in and try to hit me. He does exactly this, so I hit him with Q and an auto attack to punish. The reason this is so important is, this is basically the core fundamental to any laning phase no matter the matchup. You do everything based off of CS. After that, notice I have 2 minions, he has 3. So I make sure to constantly auto attack to get the wave slowly pushing back to him again. He can't hit minions because I will poke him too much if he does, so he can't really stop this from happening. Now that I fixed the wave and have no last hits to get, I'm completely focused on the low health minions he should be going for. So when he walks up past that minion line that we just talked about, I hit him with Q and an auto to punish like before. Then, just like last time, as he goes for last hit at the same time as me, I go my Hey everyone, when trying to get better at laning phase, you should be putting a lot of effort and focus on levels 1 to 3.
When I
I'm
am
smurfing, in 99% of the games, I win lane in those levels.
I value
Because a
truth.
lot of fundamental knowledge and concepts
Welcome
are
to
required to play
Summoner's
these levels,
Rift.
climbing stupidly fast next season. Check us out
Pare.
right after this, and with that said, let's finally get into
Tagal
this
mo,
video where you'll
nag-start
see how
na nun
important
ko.
levels 1 to 3 are. In this
30
version,
seconds
I'm
until
Oriana
minions
Fiona.
spawn.
Look ko,
I
nasad
brought
ka?
Flash Ghost and he brought Flash Ignite. This is a
Unsa pare?
The storm.
Ano pare? Anong pinagsasabi mo?
Magtanong ko sa Dilonix
Okay?
sa Dumaguete. Balhin ko dito.
Pare. Nga naman.
Lebi na aray.
Minions have spawned.
Daghan na ba kayong manayupay nga to pare ha?
Ano ba?
Good? Evil? Why should we
Basig
care for
ma-part
such
ka ba?
things?
Okay na pa. Dili siya okay, pero
Di ko masugot nga maingon ana akong friend.
Motion is all. All of us.
Here's a good candidate for the Hall of Shame.
saka sunblock.
There is joy in food and fighting.
Gamay. Ay, palit lang ako 7-Eleven na lang. Oo.
Pare, mularga na sad ka pare. Pare, daghan na ra ba kay mga freak accident karon pare ha? Nalagi motor pare na putlan sa tiil pare, unahan pa siya nakabaw nga naputol na dayan tiil.
Oo, bahan nakadagan pa siya.
Ubay tanawang video bay giatay kay bay.
Adi kong tanan.
Tanawa bay. Tanawa bay. Tanawa bay.
Learn!
Mayra gid gatir.
We are born. We must only act.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay rin, 4 ka shorts na.
Kira na pila man kadla.
Ano?
Kira. Pwede ram na nimo black.
Nagbalikon?
This ends
Ganang shorts nga dali maugap para malabhan na sa nimo.
or I
Oo,
will
palit pa. Oo nga.
They will learn or they will die.
Dito. Kenapa itong manok na bilhin?
How did I know?
Download ko ubi one day ay. Telepon. Dalawa. telepon WhatsApp pare ya. Balik ko. Nagdala na ko bro.
First blood.
Focus ko pare.
I break spines.
An enemy has been slain.
Our desire.
Double kill.
I'm here to dump. Watch it.
Oh, everyone has a plan. Now! Another keyboard. Okay, okay. Many died. Were they so? Fight you forms. You think you can beat me?
An ally has been slain.
Life is the sweetness of fruit and the joy of battle. I don't scare, I don't die, and I don't stop.
An enemy has been slain.
Back off.
Many gods ask for worship. They
Get foul.
reality is brutal. Wisdom is frequently a kick in the head.
An enemy has been slain.
Back off.
You have slain an enemy.
Mine isn't one of those.
An ally has been slain.
Life is too short for fear. Bearded lady, Nagake Boros, names don't matter. Action does. Boy, boy, boy. Shape. It is not what we have. It is what we can throw away. Things should be held only when we need them. My god is not love. It is a kick in the pants.
Straight road. Back off.
My god, what peace. Move! teacher. What you learn. The sea is right. Still going. Drag you down. A little fight to shore. This will be quick. Give it to me. Let it go. Only what moves, only what lives has value. I like this. I should buy it. Without change, something sleeps inside us and seldom wakes.
Shut down.
It is terrible to be satisfied. It needs us to chase dreams.
Executed. Your team has destroyed a turret.
When live, men die. Change is good. Blessed is motion.
Rampage.
The
An ally has been slain.
Bahru Lakachi. Even if I die,
An enemy has been slain.
if I hate something, I destroy it. If I want something, I take it. Learn! You are not in motion.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
Chase for your desire.
destroyed a turret.
And barbecue.
An enemy has been slain. A summoner has disconnected.
This is a standard range versus melee matchup, meaning my game plan looks something like this. I want to start by slow pushing, which will build up a big minion wave while giving me experience leads. While I'm pushing, I want to harass Yone when he goes for last hits. This means I should never be using my abilities for CS as the range champ. They should always be used on Yone. I'm pointing that out because it's a common mistake I see in lower elos. Anyways, if I follow this simple game plan, I should basically have the lane won before level 4. Let's see what that looks like. Right at the start of the lane, I auto a melee minion a few times to get the push advantage so I can start slow pushing. I don't want to constantly auto, I just need a slight push advantage. After that, there's a low health minion in front of me that I need to get, and Yone has one as well, so I use my Q to hit him and grab my CS at the same time. The benefit of this is, think about my Q and my auto as two different tools. If I auto the CS, then use Q on Yone, I used both my tools and they would both be on cooldown. Yes, even your auto attack has a cooldown technically. But if I use Q to grab the CS and hit Yone at the same time, I still have my auto to either grab another last hit or potentially hit Yone for more poke. I tried to do that here but cancel my auto attack, which you can see. This concept applies to any matchup in any champion. Now the first 3 melees are dead and Yone is slightly ahead of his range minion line. That means I can auto him and avoid most minion damage. That's the general rule of thumb in range versus melee matchups. This is a very important part though. You see this low health minion? Yone has his 3rd Q ready, and in this elo, he will not be punished for going for CS. So I'm totally focused on getting ready to punish him the moment he uses Q to dash in and get the CS, or dash in and try to hit me. He does exactly this, so I hit him with Q and an auto attack to punish. The reason this is so important is, this is basically the core fundamental to any laning phase no matter the matchup. You do everything based off of CS. After that, notice I have 2 minions, he has 3. So I make sure to constantly auto attack to get the wave slowly pushing back to him again. He can't hit minions because I will poke him too much if he does, so he can't really stop this from happening. Now that I fixed the wave and have no last hits to get, I'm completely focused on the low health minions he should be going for. So when he walks up past that minion line that we just talked about, I hit him with Q and an auto to punish like before. Then, just like last time, as he goes for last hit at the same time as me, I throw my Q through the minion to grab it and hit him. After hitting him with my Q, we both hit level 2, but I have CS to get right now. So I focus on grabbing those CS, then I level up my E as he jumps in. I use my E to hit him and auto him at the same time. Now that he used his E, he doesn't have his big cooldown, and I know he doesn't have W. So I can look to walk up and harass him as much as I can, but I still need to make sure I'm grabbing my CS. When he walks up to the wave, I hit him with Q again since I know his E is still down. Then I'm completely focused on my level 3. If you don't know, it takes 2 minions on the 3rd wave to hit level 3. And I notice that Yone has his 3rd Q ready. So I start walking at him as the minion that will level me up gets low, and then I hit level 3. This is such a common mistake in these elos. You guys really never respect level 2 or 3, and even if you do, most of the time you're just reacting to seeing the level. When you need to be knowing beforehand that they're about to hit. Remember, it's the first minion on the 2nd wave for level 2, and it's the 2nd minion on the 3rd wave for level 3. Well, Yone isn't respecting my level 3 at all, so I just walk at him, grab my cannon minion, then hit him with my E, Q, and autos for a big chunk of his health. Alright, now let's break down the situation. We talked about my game plan at the start. What about Yone's? For him, he wants to let the wave push in and stay healthy, giving up CS where he will take too much damage. I will crash the wave on his tower, and at this point, we would both be level 3. That's when Yone can actually be very threatening to me as he pushes the wave back my way. That's when it's his turn to play. Here's the problem. He has no potions left and has very little health. He's not healthy enough to actually be a threat to me while I have 2 potions and nearly full HP. And notice I didn't do anything special or crazy mechanically to get in this situation. It was simple fundamentals contesting his last hits. Now I just need to continue doing the same thing. When Yone walks up and uses Q on the CS, I hit him with Q. Yone has third Q here and he's level 3. So odds are he's going to try to look for all in since he's running out of HP slowly. He jumps in with E and Q, and look at how much damage he does even though he missed his initial Q. See how he could actually be a threat if he didn't misplay levels 1 and 2 by taking so much damage? Now I can just use my potions to put my health back in a spot where he can't kill me before I kill him. Anyways, I continue pushing the wave because he's diveable at this point. I just need to crash the wave. Once I do, I walk up to dive, but he backs off completely, which is fine. He's very stressed right now, trying to decide if he needs to take a bad recall or if he should try to outplay on the
I'm
tower.
not big on
But he knows he's
servants.
bleeding a lot of
Broken
CS.
bones
He
teach
uses
better
E to jump in and
lessons.
attempt to grab these last few range minions, and I make sure to poke him for that, just like all the other times. Now I want to do the exact same thing. Push, crash, dive. He's way too low health to outplay or survive under tower. But I noticed while pushing the next wave that he decided to just recall and miss all of these minions, and it's a cannon wave. In high elo, you will literally see players die instead of recalling in these scenarios, because recalling here is almost just as bad as dying. The lane is basically over, so they'd rather take their chances to try and outplay, as they really have no other options. So I shove and crash on the recalls, then recall myself. So in those first few levels, I have 34 CS, he has 13, and I have a massive experience advantage. I have 400 more gold than him just from the CS lead, which is more than a kill. This experience advantage will be a very big deal around level 6, so let's skip ahead a bit to here when we both get back to lane and we're level 5. I know I have an experience lead, and Yone doesn't know when I will hit 6. So when he gets his third Q ready, and I see I'm 1 minion from 6, I bait him in, then kill the minion to level up and immediately run to where he started his E. Instead of running, he actually tries to just fight me, but I know I can kill him without using my ult, so I save it, but he lives with 1 HP, so I had to flash to get one last auto to finish him off. His jungler is here now though, and my Graves is on the other side of her, so I kite away at first, but eventually ult Gwen to the other side of me, then kite her to my Graves and we kill her as well. Then even the enemy Maokai support shows up, and I do the same thing, kite to my jungler, and we kill him too. Alright, now I have a 1300, and it's all because I won the lane in the first 3 levels, and used the advantage I got to punish him extra hard at level 6. Let's look at another example. In this one, I'm on Cassio vs Zed. My game plan here is the exact same as Ori vs Yone. I start off by autoing the wave just like in the previous game to start my slow push, and I hit Zed with my Q right after to make full use of my mana regen. If I'm at full mana, I'm essentially just wasting mana. Then, when Zed is going for this last hit, I use my Q, which makes it easy to land. I hit him with an auto as well since he walked up past his range minion line. This next trade is something you all need to be doing versus Zed because I'm sick of hearing that Zed is just a ranged champion and you can't punish him in lane. Look where I'm standing. I'm putting myself in a spot where I can hit Zed with Q if he tries to grab these minions from range. Then, he goes to throw Q, and look at how free it is. I hit the Q, then run up and auto, since his next wave wasn't here yet, but I back off once it arrives. By doing a slight walk towards him here, then turning around immediately, it pressured him into using Q, so now he doesn't have Q to get a last hit if he needs it. This is a big part of laning. You should always be trying to bait out their abilities with threatening movement like this. Now that the second wave is here, I'm 1 minion from level 2. I hit Zed with Q when he walks up into my range though, then hit 2, and look to punish him, but he was too far away. Now let's pause. You see that low health blue minion in the very front? I want to use that as bait. I could easily just walk up and zone Zed off the wave, right? But in these lower elos, like I said earlier, players get away with everything. They grab CS they should die grabbing all the time because they are never punished. So I back away to a spot where I think Zed will feel safe, but where I'm still in range to punish him if he takes the bait and goes for that minion. It works perfectly and he takes the bait, and because he's taken so much damage already, this turns into a quick level 2 kill. And these were all the same concepts as the previous game. This time I was on a mid laner with a bit more kill pressure than Ori at level 2. Alright guys, as you can see, levels 1 through 3 have a lot more to them than you would think, and it's crucial you get this stuff down as you should win lane in these levels every game. But we hope you learned from this video, and we hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.
questions while punching.
I'm not big on sermons. Broken bones teach better lessons.
In this guide, we're going to break down the most important mechanics for you to learn in League of Legends, and make them simple, easy to understand, and easy to implement in your own games. There's a problem right now when it comes to learning mechanics in League. I'm sure you've experienced it yourself. Most guides that you find online teaching mechanics will teach you crazy combos or some unrealistic way of kiting that makes you look really cool, but isn't exactly practical. That's why we knew we had to make this video. What we've done is identify the 15 most important mechanics, and by important, we mean you'll not only be using these mechanics every single game, but by improving at them, you'll see the biggest increase in your win rate. And no matter what role you play or type of champion or rank you're in, we've made sure to include mechanics for everyone. So even if one of these doesn't apply to you, a ton of them will, so make sure to watch until the end. Also, we have a special limited time offer. We want you to go out and try to implement the mechanics you're about to learn in this video. From there, identify one mechanic that you're struggling with, that you just can't seem to get the hang of, despite trying to implement what we'll teach you in this guide. Then, go to our website. You'll find the full course for this video there. Simply scroll down to the comments section in that course, and we'll have a link to a Google form where you can submit a replay of yours where you struggled with that mechanic. This will also give you the opportunity to ask any questions you have, tell us what about it you're struggling with, and more. We will then be taking your submissions and expanding the course using your replays, where we go into further detail teaching the mechanics you guys struggled with the most. We already have over 2 hours of this additional content live on our website right now. Do keep in mind though, submissions will only be accepted for 1 month after this video goes live, so don't miss your opportunity. And if that wasn't enough, to sweeten the deal, we've added a discount link in the description below, so make sure to check it out after this. Alright, so let's get into our first mechanic called spacing. The reason we wanted to start with the spacing mechanic is that it's something that is occurring throughout the entire laning phase and even team fights. It's one of the most important mechanics for every player to master. At the same time, it's one of the mechanics that players find the most confusing due to people overcomplicating it when they teach it. At its core, spacing just means staying outside of the range of the enemy's spells. Let's use Ahri as an example. Her Q has a range of 900, and her E ability, which is her charm, has a range of 1000. And obviously, to start, we will want to use the highest range ability of the opponent as our reference point. So all you have to do is stay outside the range of 1000 against Ahri, and boom, you're a spacing god. Well, not really, but it's what everything else you'll learn is built upon. So most players get this part, like, duh, sit outside of a spell's range, that's common sense. Well, the problem is most players, including yourself, take this way too far. Like literally, you're standing way too far away. For example, let's say we're playing someone like Lux, who has a range advantage over Ahri. Lux's E ability has a range of 1100 for context, and remember Ahri's max range is 1000 on her charm. If we stand too far back, well, sure, we're safe from Ahri, but we're also out of the range of our own Lux ability, so we're never going to land damage on Ahri. And this is why when pros and coaches talk about spacing, really what they mean is staying outside of the opponent's range while still being inside your own range. Remember, we know as Lux, we have around an extra 100 range to work with compared to Ahri, so we never want to be too far back or too far forward. It's like there's a Goldilocks zone every champion is trying to play in. And there are several benefits to playing within this Goldilocks zone. Firstly, as we just taught, if you're the one with the range advantage, well then you can freely land harass from safety. Secondly, spacing properly can easily bait skill shots to wasting enemies' mana and give big timing windows when their abilities are on cooldown. For example, here's the pro player Chovy on Victor against Ahri. Now, Victor only has one ability that outranges Ahri, it's his laser, which has a max range of 1050. But here's the thing about Victor's laser. It is notoriously bad early on. It does very little damage, has an insanely high cooldown, and costs way too much mana. So early on, this will effectively reduce his range, which is only 600. So how do we combat this range deficit as Victor in this matchup? Well, we can actually use spacing. All you have to do is what Chovy does here. Sit right outside of that maximum range of the enemy, so in this case it's Ahri with 1000 range. Then just move slightly inside that 1000 range, then immediately click back out of it.
All
Here's the
that
key to
lives
this. You're not actually reacting to any skill shots or anything the enemy is doing. You're always preemptively clicking back out of their range. From the enemy's point of view, you walk directly at them in the range. By the time that registers in the range, you've already
There are challenges
but more importantly, it will give you a large timing
isn't
window
one of
while that
those.
ability is on cooldown to move up and land abilities of your own that are in that lower range. So now you're probably thinking, okay, so you're expecting me to learn every single range of every single ability in the game on every single enemy. That does not sound very simple. To put this in perspective, if you wanted to learn only 50% of the champions, that's like 80 champions total. And with 3 basic abilities per champion, that's 240 ability ranges you would need to memorize. That's insane and totally unrealistic. So don't worry, there are some tips that we're going to teach you that will make practicing and learning spacing way, way easier. Firstly, you need to understand that each role will have certain
Minigods
champions you
ask
face
for
way more often,
They
and you want to focus on those champions first. Take mid lane for example. On the current patch that this guide was made, if we sort by pick rate and just learn the ranges of the 6 most picked mid laners, which are Sylas, Victor, Zed, Katarina, Yasuo, and Yone, you've now learned 52.9% of the matchups.
They don't
So I'm
need
sure
to.
you're starting to see where I'm going with this. Those 240 abilities you thought you had to memorize just to learn 50% of matchups is more like 18. At the same time, not every ability needs to be memorized. For example, Sylas is deceptively high range as a melee champion. His main poke,
Wisdom
his
is
Q ability,
free.
has a range of
I'll take it
955, and it has an engage range of 1200 on his Q. So, you'll get blocked by minions, so you won't get minions. Memorize that 955 range.
You have
We know a
slain an
champion
enemy.
sounds a lot like Ahri. Her Q range is 900, Sylas's is 955. Ahri's E range is 1000, Sylas's is 1200. Both of these champions actually have very similar playstyles and links.
They will
They're
learn.
gonna use their Q or slow to set up the all-in. They then have
An
to
ally has been slain. An enemy has been
minions
slain.
in order to then get
An enemy has been
out of
slain.
matchups super fast.
No!
Just start with the most popular champion you pick. In this case, it was Sylas. Then you realize, oh, Ahri is just
An
kind of
ally
a
has
shorter
been
range version of
slain.
Sylas. And you just adjust your spacing to be ever so slightly closer. There are a lot of tricks like this to make ranges of champions more simplified. Another great one is when a champion has ranges on multiple abilities that overlap. A great example of this is Zed. He may seem very overwhelming to face
It is
all
the
of his
story.
abilities and how he has mobility. But in reality, he has one combo that he uses. He casts W, which is a shadow, then his Q to damage you and slow you, which then sets up him landing his Q. Well, guess what? That W and E combo has a range of 940. And his Q range is 955. So it actually becomes very easy to space against him, but you realize as long as you're at least 940 range, you can't do anything. Again, and suddenly you have Zed
You
putting
have
W,
slain
E,
an
and
enemy.
Q cooldown to literally do 0 damage. Oh, and by the way, his W has an insanely high cooldown early on of 20 seconds, so you can easily
Choose what
counterattack
is
safely
desired.
during that time. This is pretty much a lane-winning trick. And just like that, with Zed and Sylas being in 24.1% of your games on this patch, you've had to literally only learn one range for each of them, and you'll be spacing like a god in 1/4 of every game you play. And still, with all these
We
tips,
are not
spacing can
one
still be tough to
soul.
learn,
We
and it's
are
because
many.
visualizing the range of spells in game can be hard. But there's actually a trick to this too. All you have to do is use your own spell's range as reference. So, for example, Zoe's Sleepy Bubble has a range of 800. Let's say you're playing Victor as an example. Well, his W also has a range of 800. So all you have to do, if
There
you're
is
Victor facing a
joy
Zoe,
in
is pull up the
all
range indicator on your W to remind yourself how far you need to be standing. And it doesn't always have to be that exact. For example, we all know how annoying Vladimir with his Q spam can be. Well, Vladimir's Q range is 600. And guess what? The most popular auto attack range for ranged champions is 550.
Bearded lady,
So, if you're playing
Naga
Ahri,
Boros, names
well,
don't
you know
matter.
Ahri's auto attack range is
Action
550.
does.
So, all you have to do in that matchup, if you're Ahri, is to bring up your range indicator every so often. This way, you can remind yourself of where you need to stand. The key here is to just stand a little bit further away than the range indicator shows. This is because Vladimir is 600, and while your auto
Even if I die,
so that's pretty much everything you ever need to understand in mastering the mechanic of spacing. And this also makes a great transition to our next mechanic, auto spacing. And surprise, as the name implies, it's basically using what you just learned about spacing to auto attacks and spacing. There's a very famous clip of the pro player Deft Using
I
this
balance
mechanic,
An ally has been slain.
don't get me wrong, it's super impressive, it looks really cool, and honestly, it kind of makes auto spacing look way harder than it actually is. Here's the core thing you need to understand. The reason why auto spacing is different than regular spacing is how champions move differently when auto attacking compared to using spells. For example, playing Oriana, you can cast spells while moving, so I could click to the side and then cast my ability and my movement doesn't change. When auto attack Oriana, a champion will always move in the direction where I execute that auto attack. It's this body language you can read on auto attack commands that makes auto spacing, well, a thing that exists. I'll explain how in a second. But essentially, all you need to know is that abilities can be really interesting about visually communicating a command that's been issued, whereas with auto attacks, it's always super obvious. Alright, so let's start with the basics on this one. You need to first realize that sending movement commands also communicates visually where the enemy clicks. This is how wherever I click, my champion immediately looks in that direction and walks towards it. And again, this will also apply to when I auto attack an enemy. My champion turns to face them, and I move towards them. Once you understand this, auto spacing is incredibly easy to execute. You just need to try and auto attack an enemy when their body is facing away from you. This works because if they're facing away from you, well, at that moment, the characters are facing away from you and can't click back. At the time to click away to get out of their auto attack. Now you know it tries to issue an attack command on you. This is how this clip of Deft almost looks like a synchronized dance at one point. Deft is just making sure to click on the enemy when they turn away from him, since they can't auto attack back at that moment. Then, once the enemy turns around, he knows an attack has been issued by the enemy, so he knows how to attack to get out of the way. The main reason why this clip is so impressive is that both Xayah and Kai'Sa have the same auto attack range of 525. What this means is he's basically using auto spacing to play like he has a range advantage, when in reality they're exactly even. Now, I know, you're already thinking, that's like inhuman level reaction time. There's no way I can attack that fast or click that fast. Well, here's the trick. You're not actually reacting. What you want to react to is the enemy clicking away from you. When you see their champion look away, that's the trigger to issue an attack command on them, since if you land an auto attack in range to immediately auto attack them, well, it prevents you from just walking forward into their range and taking an even trade. You can see Deft is doing this several times. He's clicking on Kai'Sa and then clicking back preemptively. No auto attack went off because he wasn't in range. That's why it looks like they're dancing, or like Deft has inhuman reaction times. All he's really doing is clicking on Kai'Sa when she looks away, and then follows it up, preemptively clicking behind him. Eventually, Kai'Sa messes up and walks in range too far forward, at which point, he's still doing the same mechanic of just clicking on Kai'Sa when she looks away, and then clicking back preemptively. The difference is, he's now in range to immediately auto-attack, so he can damage her while still preemptively clicking back to dodge her auto-attacks. It's really the same mechanic the entire time. Your only reaction is clicking on the enemy to issue an attack command when the enemy looks away, and making sure to always next mechanic that has to do with increasing your auto attack range. For example, here we see Caitlyn has an auto attack range of 650, which is 100 higher than Ezreal. And yet, by Caitlyn's second auto attack, she's well within Ezreal's range, and they can trade back. This is because there's actually a cooldown between your auto attacks. But your auto attacks are on cooldown. You can see Caitlyn initially auto attacked Ezreal at her maximum attack range. But while her auto attack is on cooldown, the game will make her walk forward until her auto attack is off cooldown. And the solution to preventing this is the exact same as the previous mechanic. You need to click back right after issuing an attack command. Then, as your auto attack comes back off cooldown, you can click on the enemy to issue another attack command. This will prevent you from walking forward and make sure you're always staying at your maximum attack range. And as you can imagine, when you combine this mechanic with the previous one of timing auto attacks when the enemy moves away from you, how you end up using auto spacing like that pro player does. For our next section, let's focus on mechanics that will help you skill shots and just move better in general. The first thing you need to immediately start doing better is clicking far closer to you. When you click far away from your champion, it makes it incredibly hard to react to skill shots fast enough, as your mouse has to cover so much more distance just to input a movement command in a different direction. Compare this when you're clicking close to your champion. There's less distance your mouse has to travel if you need to change directions, so you can end up reacting at insanely fast speeds. A lot of players aren't even aware that consciously clicking closer to your champion is a mechanic that all high-level players use. In your own games, try to imagine a circle around your champion around this big. After analyzing pros, rarely do they exceed past this circle. Your goal is to keep your mouse within this circle when you issue movement command. You then only move your mouse outside the circle when you're issuing dash commands, fire and in addition to clicking closer to your champion, you also need to be for example, a bronze player from Trinity. I want you to pay attention to how often he's clicking with his mouse and issuing movement commands. It should be really obvious that his champion feels very slow and predictable. Now, compare this to a challenger, and you'll notice that they click almost twice as often. Now, let me explain why it's so important to click fast. Let's say you had to move to your left, and you're only allowed 4 mouse clicks. Due to how the game's auto-movement is programmed, it makes your movement very smooth. When you change directions, it looks like you're jittery or glitchy. It makes you very hard to predict and know what your next move is. And since you're clicking far more often, it means if you need to dodge, you'll be able to change direction much faster. Whenever a player has a low amount of clicks in lane, it makes them not only easier to hit with these skill shots, but also just very easy to read on what they want to do. Compare this to challenger players, it's very hard to get it's hard to predict or what direction they want to move. Essentially, you should make a conscious effort to click closer to your champion and more often. And now that we've covered that, let's talk about how to be far more accurate with skill shots. You see, League is 3-dimensional in appearance, but it actually operates as a 2D game. There's effectively only an X and Y axis to determine where you're standing. However, there is a Z axis, but it's only visual, and it's for elevation. Even though you can see Lux go up on the Z axis, don't be fooled, it's only visual. You would still need to aim at her original location to actually hit her. This concept of elevation only being visual also applies to high and low ground when landing skill shots in League. Here, Ari lands a charm when her cursor isn't even on the block, because she's aiming below her feet. Remember, whenever a champion is elevated in Thunder's Rift, it's a visual trick. The hitbox is always lower than it seems. This is why you actually want to aim below the enemy to compensate for this if they're on high ground. This is again proved here, where you can see when the cursor is much closer to Lux, but placed above, it doesn't land because of the visual illusion. Here's the thing though, the opposite of this is also true when you're the one with the high ground. You will always need to aim above the enemy, as you will miss if you aim at their feet. So to summarize, the rules are, when the enemy is on the high ground, always aim at their feet. When you're the one on the high ground, always aim towards their head. And finally, if you're on even ground with the enemy, just aim at the center of their body. Another high-level mechanic every pro uses in skill shots is what's called cutting off the angle. For example, let's just say you're playing Elise and ganking an Ashe AD carry. Most players in this spot make the mistake of throwing a skill shot away. This makes it very easy for them to since there's so much distance between you and your opponent, it gives them a lot of time to react. Compare this to your right hand. It doesn't matter how good they are, they can't dodge something that's pointed.
An enemy has been slain.
Guaranteed that you'll get a point blank kill. You just need to be aware of when you're in position to cut off. Let's say Elise and Ashe are next to each other, but Elise is a bit far behind. If both of them move forward in a perpendicular line, assuming both have similar movement speeds, Elise can never catch up to Ashe. However, if Elise takes an angled approach while Ashe walks straight, notice how there will eventually be a point where you're significantly closer to the enemy than before. On top of this, notice how if Ashe then matches Elise's angled approach, we're back to the same scenario as if they're moving straight. Elise can never catch up again. Well, here's the trick. Someone who's
ally has been slain.
If you're the one who takes an angled approach and the enemy does the same, well, they eventually just hit a wall and you have to walk straight. And as we just demonstrated, if one person takes an angled approach while the other walks straight, there will always be that point where you're extremely close to them. So, to go back to the original example, we know Ashe's escape path is to her tower. All we have to do now is cut off the angle, meaning
An
take an
ally
angled
has been
approach.
slain.
Eventually, you get to a point where you're the closest
An
you can
enemy
ever
has
be.
been
This is the
slain.
most ideal time to land your skill shot since it has the least amount of distance to travel and is the hardest to dodge. Now, this sounds simple
Enemy
enough,
killing
and it really
spree.
is, but
My
against tougher
God is
opponents,
not
they'll try to
love.
counter you, cutting
It
off
is a
the
kick
angle
in the
by doing
pants.
random dodges to the side or behind, to dodge your skill shot. The biggest mistake you can make when they do this is to cast your skill shot
Team
really
has
hard.
destroyed a
Since
turret.
they're no longer moving in a straight
Your
line,
turret has been
you can now
destroyed.
guarantee catch up to them. All you have to do is be patient, and let them continue to try and creatively dodge. You're just gaining more and more distance until you're literally right on top of them, and then you can land a full-time skill shot. I can promise you, if you implement this into your own gameplay, you will make landing skill shots so much easier. Start taking it to a higher level where you actually push people into terrain that traps them. The most common
They
example
are
of this
kind
technique
and
is
gentle
this space
dogs.
right here in between the
Mine
tower and the wall.
isn't one of
Once someone
those.
walks into this area, they can no longer move effectively side to side and are just a sitting duck. So whether it's just landing poke or all-inning off of crowd control, you want to look for opportunities to cut off the angle and funnel the enemy into that specific spot, as even if you're a decent distance away from them, they can't actually dodge any skill shots as they are literally stuck between a wall and a
They
tower.
are weak
Okay,
gods.
so now let's try and switch focus to mechanics around last-hitting minions. I think this next technique here is I want to just highlight how impactful improving your CS by a very small amount can be. So, statistically, the average game duration of gold is around 30 minutes. Now, a gold player who mains Ari will average around 6 CS per minute, which is 180 CS on average per game. Now, on average, 1 CS is worth 22 gold. What this means is that around 4,000 of your total gold every game is going to be coming from your CS. Now, let's say you increase your
An
CS
ally
per
has
minute
been
by just
slain.
1, meaning every minute you spend on average. Your average
Enemy
CS per
double
game
kill.
would go from 180 to 210, and you would earn an additional 620 gold every single game. This is actually more than 2 kills worth of gold for just 1 extra CS over an entire minute. Seems crazy, right? Well, here's what's even crazier. You know what rank averages 7 CS per minute on Ari?
They will
Challenger.
learn.
Yes, you
or
heard me
they
right.
will die.
Literally, the gap between lasting like a gold player and a challenger is only a difference of 1 CS per minute. Keep in mind, a minion wave will spawn every 30 seconds in
Only
game.
what moves,
Ignoring
only
cannon
what
minions,
lives
that's 12 CS you can achieve every single minute.
Has been
Lower rank
destroyed.
gold, you're only getting half of what
It
you
is the
could be
storm
getting. All you have to do is
life.
kill 1 more minion every 2 waves, and you will be on par with the challenger. You're probably now thinking, well, improving at last hitting has to be way harder than I thought if the difference is that small. But it really isn't. The issue isn't their actual mechanical skill, it's just that most players aren't aware of 3 mechanical tricks that make last hitting just a lot easier that challenger players utilize. The first one is how
Enemy
power works in
rampage.
League of Legends. When players get need to because they don't understand how tower aggro actually works. Even though towers themselves are huge, their aggro radius is
An enemy has been slain.
whichever minion is closest to the spot will be what the tower focuses next. When the next time you're trapped under your turret, simply look at this spot. Then identify which minion is closest to this point of aggro, and then you can prepare your last hits accordingly. The second one is about
Choose
making
what
the
is
timing of
desired.
your last hits far easier. You need to realize that what makes last hitting hard is that as a range champion, you'll be traveling at a However, the travel time will change based on the distance of the minion. This is the hardest part about last hitting, timing the travel of your auto attack
Another key
with the health of the minion being low enough.
Okay.
A simple solution to this all challenger players utilize is to just walk right up next to a minion and press the stop command. By default, this is bound to S on your keyboard.
We
By
are
standing
not
next to the
one
minion,
soul.
you can just right
We
click
are
and auto attack. Now, I already know, some of you are thinking, I can't stand next to minions all game, or I'm just going to get hit by every skill shot known to man and lose my lane. And guess what? You're actually right. That's why
I
you
am
only
here
use
to
this
Have been slain.
before I knew that trick, I was using that slow pushing through. The problem is, when a wave is slow pushing, you have 18 minutes. And this is the damage to any minion.
Enemy has been slain.
You can just stock command right next to them, and suddenly it's like CSing twice as good. And keep in mind, if you're slow pushing, well, the enemy can't trade into you without losing due to your giant wave. So you're often perfectly safe to do this mechanic without being punished for standing. The next mechanic is one that is probably the simplest, and yet is the one the least amount of people know about. Honestly, I'm not even lying when I say I kind of want to keep this secret to myself. This is probably one of those mechanics that is the most responsible for increasing my CS per minute. If you're like an unfair advantage, you really know this trick. So, you know how there are plenty moments throughout the game where you just need to clear a wave, whether it's because an enemy roams or recall, you're just pushing to up your own recall
Bearded
timing,
lady,
or it's later on in the game and you're just shoving
An ally has
there
been
are just plenty
slain.
of times where you aren't under any threat of being traded with, and you just need to clear the wave.
An enemy has been slain.
So many last hits. That is, before I land
An
this one
enemy is
simple, you
unstoppable.
always want to focus the caster minions first. Here's the thing. Most players in these spots focus melee minions. It makes sense
Even
because
if
they're
I
what's
die,
closest to you
I
to being
die
damaged by your
in
minions.
motion.
But that's exactly what makes them hard to last hit. The fact that your minions are damaging them. Instead, what you can do is kill all the caster minions first. It is quite literally impossible to miss the last hits
Your
since nothing
turret
else
has
is
been
damaging them but
destroyed.
you. It's only once the melee minions get low enough from your own minions, you then
Blessed
last hit them.
is
The reason why this works so well is that normally if you focus the melee minions, you'll probably miss like 1 CS from mistiming your auto attack with your own minions damage. And then once those melees are dead, your wave starts damaging the casters, and the cycle repeats. You just miss another CS due to mistiming your auto attack again. When you focus the
I
caster
value
minions first,
truth
you actually
and
guarantee you
barbecue.
only have to time your last hits on half of the wave, meaning you get 100% accuracy on 3 minions. And remember, if you were in gold elo, you would just need to increase your CS per minute to be equal to the talent. And as you can see, by implementing stop command to last hit next to minions and focusing the casters. Top left corner to get insanely valuable information. It all has to do with the icon. For example, when you pop
Pare,
Pare.
sorry nga, alam ko sa kung bagay.
Ayaw na lagi pare. Ano pare? Game na pare.
So many players don't even realize that this mechanic is
Kanina pa kita inaantay pare.
All of us are born storms.
Ah. Bike na ko. Kaya? Ano lang?
An enemy is unstoppable.
I break hearts. I break spine.
Live ka pare.
Dua ta pare.
Yun ako ron pa.
Dako na ka pare.
Kaon lang ko din
Wato na kag dumagete pare. Bagyo ra ba pa yun?
Ba't yun
Vortex is over. Share you to me. Nagake boroshe. Shock.
Biya sa di mo pare.
Quick na.
Ha?
Quick na.
Ta, bike ta na. Bike lang ta. Koto, dari sugod nga to.
Fine offering.
Pwede kayo.
Men live, men die.
Sugdi na pre.
Change is good.
An enemy has been slain.
It is terrible to be satisfied. The world needs us to shift.
Daran ko Discord sa phone, pare.
Mag-Discord lang, pre.
An enemy has been slain.
They run, or I break them.
Nom din na yung gabiing ako, ano.
Yata namatay pa man may Pistibia.
Nakitas nuno, good.
Pistibia ni. Ang nono.
Tab daw.
Na, nono na. Pistibia ni na. 16 na. Medjay Soul Stealer. Feeder gini na. Ubus na. Yata. Usan ako 3-9.
Ano ka na severe?
Na ano? No, bahala ni.
Ay, AP mo din ang nuno, no? Full AP.
Oh.
Nakita na niya ron.
Your inhibitor is respawning soon.
It is what we can do.
Uy, sus, ay, kabugo ba ni mag-ult, ay? Pagkabulikit ba ni mag-ult?
Has been slain.
We must only act.
Ba man lang ka naka-assist, pare. Sinisip niya.
Lagi. Puchang ina ya. Yeah, they're gonna need
Has
to
been
destroy
destroyed.
me.
Is brutal.
Enemy having spawned. Your team has destroyed the turret.
My God.
Kenapa dia masuk tubig?
Life is the sweetness of fruit and the joy of battle. I like this. I should buy everyone one of these.
Has been slain.
If I hate something, I destroy it. If I want something, I take it.
Shut down. Ally has been slain. Your inhibitor has been destroyed. Your inhibitor has been destroyed.
Now! Good? Evil? Why should we care for such things? You think you can beat me?
An enemy has been slain.
The sea is right behind you. Move! Dahlia, shake. Things should be held only when we need them. I am a teacher. Bilgewater will learn. How did I know when you were mad? They break too easily.
Double kill.